Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's podcast. Today we have an eminent guest, Mr. Ramchandra Rao. He's a certified financial planner and a BFSI expert. Welcome, Mr. Ramchandra.
Thank you, Irfat. Thank you for having me on the show.
So, first, I would like to know your complete story. How you started, what do you do currently, and how did you, go on to become a certified financial planner?
Sure, Irfat. I would like to take you through my journey of being a CFP and what I'm doing and how I'm doing that. So I currently run a firm called the Money Stream, which is basically a financial products distribution practice. I have been an entrepreneur now for the last 6 years. Prior to that, I have been part of the BFSI industry for over almost close to 2 decades. I'm a commerce graduate. I did few certifications post that. However, during my stint at the corporate, I always had the urge to start something on my own, which brought me to the journey that I am currently part of, which is the Money Stream business that I am running for the last 6 years. Yes.
Okay. So how did why did you plan to do CFP and how does it add value to your profile?
Sure. So you would imagine that when you are practicing independently, there are some credentials that you need to carry to be able to make a mark in the mind of the customers, your prospective clients. CFP is a gold standard in financial planning and is regarded as a power authority, a person with authority in the space of financial planning. So I felt that having a CFP certification is always going to create that trust and confidence with my clientele, and hence my choice of pursuing the CFP certification, which I completed very recently.
Okay. I would like to know for my audience, what is CFP? What are the different levels of examination? When are these examinations conducted? And how soon can an aspiring student complete the entire CFP program?
Sure. CFP basically stands for Certified Financial Planner. Anybody who is a graduate can pursue this, irrespective of the stream of graduation they come from. The time taken here is ranging anywhere between 9 months to a year and a half. You can complete this while you are doing your day job. It doesn't necessarily require you to leave a job and then study full time. So that's the best part about it. If you come with some industry experience, it adds to the sheen, because then you're able to more easily absorb the study material. So CFP exams are held throughout the year. Of course, like bi-monthly, you will have exams which are there, for which you can appear. Basically, there are 3 stages of Certified Financial Planner course, ending with a final module, which is the integrated financial planning. So you have modules like investment planning, you have modules like estate planning, and then risk planning. So these are some of the modules that are there as part of the CFP curriculum. And needless to say, once you are completed the CFP, it's a worldwide certification. You can proudly call yourself a CFP, and opportunities are open to you, whether you practice on your own or you are looking for a job within the industry.
And what kind of opportunities you can expect once you have completed the CFP exam?
So the wealth management space in India is a growing industry. Institutions like banks, private wealth managers, and even if you want to start on your own, like I mentioned earlier, you will have opportunities in the space of financial planning and wealth management. These are separate divisions within these financial institutions. So today, there are professionals who are probably MBAs who are filling this gap. The need for specialists is always felt, and hence a CFP always fills that void in these financial institutions. And hence, definitely there are good opportunities to be had with the banks and the wealth managers who are other than the banks which are there.
So if you see here, in terms of qualifications, in India, we call ourselves as chartered accountants. In the Western world, we call ourselves as certified public accountants. If you go to the Europe side, if you go to the UK side, we are called ACCAs. So each country has their own qualification.
Right.
CFP is from the US. So is there a similar body like CFP, which is Indianized body or Indian origin body?
I think there is one, and we have a body called as NISM, which is National Institute of Securities Market. So I wouldn't say it's an equivalent of Financial Planning Standards Board. That's the board which awards the CFP certification to its members across the world. NISM is a very India-based entity, and it has a recognition from the regulator, which is SEBI, and hence the courses that come out of NISM have the stamp of approval from SEBI. Of course, the CFP certification also has its blessing from SEBI. However, NISM may differ a little bit when compared to FPSB, which is the Financial Planning Standards Board. So yes, there is an Indian version of FPSB, so to speak.
But in your opinion, which one is something that the students should be wanting to pursue if they are looking at opportunities not just in India,
Right.
but in addition to India, because not everybody would want to go global. So which one do you think a student, aspiring student, should pursue?
Sure. NISM is more of a compliance requirement, or a regulatory requirement. So the certifications that come out of the NISM stable are a must-have. I mean, if you have to have certain licenses or certain go ahead in terms of running your business or having your practice. CFP is the Financial Planning Standards Board. CFP is more of a professional certification that is good to have in India. And if you are having global aspirations, then it's a must-have. So in that sense, yes, NISM is more regulatory, more of the hygiene that we can call, and CFP is more of a good to have certification which has a global reach.
Okay. And how difficult do you think it is for the students if they're aspirational about CFP? Can an average student with an average college score dream of pursuing this?
Absolutely. So CFP isn't really the the kind of exam that you need to dread about. So it's something even an average student can pursue, obviously with perseverance, with patience, and with efforts. Like for any other competitive exam or certification, you will surely get through the course.
Okay. And you mentioned there are 3 levels. So there are subjects at each level?
That's right. That's right. So, for example, the first module would talk about the basics of financial management, and it would also talk about investment planning. So, in investment planning, would talk about different asset classes. So, if for example, if let's say a client wants to invest his money, so what are the options that he has? Which are the different asset classes? Whether he invests in equity, fixed income, commodity, real estate, and what are the pros and cons? How does it gel well with each other? So how does having a diversified portfolio help an investor to mitigate the risks associated with the investment? So these are some of the topics that are covered in the module 1. Going ahead, you have the core subject of retirement planning. There we talk about how do you really analyze your retirement needs? How do you arrive at a figure that will allow you to ensure that you have a stable post-retirement life, without having active income from your salary or business. So these are some of the topics that are covered as part of retirement planning. And then you have tax planning, which is very specific to each geography. You will have something which is on a global level, and then there will be a portion within the module which will be for the domestic market. So you'll learn basics of income tax, and how does a tax professional report income under different heads of income, right? So in some sense, you are also learning what a CA goes through in their curriculum. However, of course, it is not to that great extent. However, there is a element of covering the basics of income tax, which a finance professional ought to know. And then finally, you have a module which is estate planning. In a market like India, estate planning really doesn't cut ties with a lot of individuals because, and when I say estate planning, it means how do you pass on your legacy from your generation to the next generation, right? So this is not a much discussed about topic among a lot of households in India. So this is something which is covered as part of the CFP curriculum. The final module is the integrated financial planning module, which kind of combines all these modules, and you are supposed to take a case study, wherein you are applying all the principles that you have learned in these 3 modules, and you are attempting a real life case study. So that shows the application of your learning into a practical environment.
Okay. I see a lot of students dreading about this last level, what you were mentioning about the case study. Uh, you know, uh, because there is also one route of CFP which is through exemption route.
Right.
Right. So if somebody, I as a layman, if somebody has to understand how difficult or complex is this case study part, which is the ultimate
Right.
final part, can you just explain that in very simple words how that can be done?
Yeah, so we were talking about the case study wherein we are talking about a married household which has got a married couple with 2 kids and parents who are financially dependent on this couple. So now you are presented with various assumptions. You are presented with various facts with regards to their income, their expenditure, their lifestyle. And in addition to that, you are given the leeway to make certain assumptions to resolve the questions that are part of the case study. So the questions could be that help the family to devise a retirement plan, help the family to generate income in a manner that it supports the elderly parents, help the family to create an education corpus for the children. While they are doing all of this, there could be some challenges at hand. The husband could be staring at a layoff. The wife is kind of looking to take a break. So what are the different scenarios that you can create for the family which will help them to navigate this situation that they are staring at ahead? So the essence of financial planning is that how does an individual plan in a manner that they can they can have a stress-free life. So the idea of financial planning is not to maximize returns, to not only create wealth, which is often the perceived objective of this function. Financial planning is all about ensuring that you have a stress-free life, which is always not possible. However, the attempt is towards that. And hence, the financial planner, who's the person guiding this family or advising this family, ensures that he creates different financial management strategies, pictures or draws different scenarios for the client so that they are able to appreciate that in any given scenario, how are they prepared to navigate such situations. So while attempting the case study, the idea is always to take a practical approach. The examining body or even the coach who is training you doesn't expect you to be applying everything bookish, right? Because at the end of the day, this is the practice that you are going to take outside in the real world. So the expectation is that you think logically, you think in a very commonsensical way, and then apply the principle and help the family under question. So this is the case. This is the approach to a case study. Sometimes students tend to overwork or oversimplify things, or tend to make simple things very complex. The idea is to have a very practical approach, yet adopt some of the principles or all the principles that a student would have gone through in the different modules to this particular case study.
You mentioned that you need to be a graduate to pursue CFP. Is it like if somebody wants to pursue it after their class 12, are they eligible?
After class 12, I'm not very sure about it. Now that you ask. But yes, I would like to believe that the graduation is the is the criteria for enrolling for a
And
CFP
you can
program.
be graduate in any stream, science, commerce, arts?
Yes. Like I said, if you are a graduate, if you are a commerce graduate, then it helps you to that extent
Yes.
to align with the topics very quickly. And also you mentioned about exemption option being there. There also you are able to attempt the integrated financial planning module in a much better manner if you are part of the industry or if you have some background in finance, because that will and generally those are the categories of people who are allowed the exemption. For example, if you are MBA finance, if you are a CA, so already there is a certain level of expertise that you have. It's just that you need to align with the final module and take the exam.
And how much in total does it cost to become a CFP?
So if you are taking up coaching, then probably it can run into a lakh and a half. If you are going to use the self-study option, then it will cost a lot lesser.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if a student wants to pursue today, everything is about what is the ROI?
Absolutely.
How much will I make after passing this
Right.
exam?
Right.
So how much do you think should be a good ROI for students to be encouraged to pursue CFP?
So I will take a recent example that probably will make more sense. So SBI is hiring for their wealth management division, right? And similarly, some other banks are hiring for their wealth management division. And FPSB, which is the Financial Planning Standard Board's India chapter, they sent out a mail to all the members very recently saying that the CFP graduates have this opportunity to apply for these openings, and the salaries range anywhere between 10 lakhs to 30 lakh plus, depending upon your prior experience and some of the other qualifications that you hold besides CFP. So just to get a sense, probably this is like a benchmark for a fresher. I wouldn't say fresher, but a graduate who has completed his CFP, has put in some years of experience in the industry, can expect a annual salary of 10 lakhs per annum, or on the conservative side, let's say 6 to 8 lakhs per annum, and it can go all the way up to, like I said, 30 lakhs plus. One can imagine that, yes, if you have to draw the big bucks, you also need to have had enough years put in the industry, right? So then obviously you're a hot cake.
There are a lot of, when we go to social media today, particularly Instagram, you'll find a lot of people talking about personal finance.
Absolutely.
Invest money here, invest here. So as a user, we are like extremely confused. As an audience, I see a lot of people getting confused. Should I put in SIP? Should I put in fixed deposit?
Right.
So what do you suggest to those viewers? How should they do their personal finance planning?
Yeah, I mean, yes, you're right. I mean, today is the age of influencers. In fact, influencers in all industries are there out there on social media, and finance is no exception to that. So you have a lot of influencers, doling out advice. The regulator SEBI has come down quite heavily on them, because it's kind of unscientific for people to advise when you do not know the background of the people who are receiving the advice. So to that extent, yes, definitely an individual should think twice before acting on the advice doled out by the finfluencers online. Yes, I wouldn't really put down the finfluencers who are completely doing it as a education, right? But if you are trespassing the boundary, which is a Chinese wall, and trespassing into what is called advisory, yes, I think then you are risking the viewer's money, because he or she, on the impulse of what you say, might go ahead and make that investment, and there is no accountability for the influencer as of today to go back to that investor, and there is no grievance redressal, so to speak, for the investor to act in case the investment advice goes wrong, in which in some cases it has gone wrong, and with very prominent financial influencers. So to that extent, yes, my word of advice would be, please exercise extreme caution before acting on advice that you hear on social media.
And why do you think, financial planning or personal financial planning is so important today than it used to be, a decade back or a generation back?
Irfat, it always has been important. It's just that it was always in-house, right? And it probably goes back to the societal norms that we had earlier. We had a joint family, there were elders, the people were more conservative. There was intuitively planning happening within the family, with no professional available outside the family. And India being a conservative country as far as financial habits are concerned, people were always very calculative of what they were doing. Exceptions are always there. With the change in the composition of society, more and more nuclear families, coming out and blooming on their own, there was this void that probably started to get created, wherein people were wondering, how do I manage money for myself and my family? Right. And this is where I think the need for a personal financial planning professional actually comes at the right time. And who better than a professional who has been certified by a authority that is respected worldwide. So it really makes sense for you to hire a financial advisor. Even if not affordable, you can always work with someone in your neighborhood whom you trust and whom you are confident that can give you the right advice with regards to your financial plan.
I think every household, there's a custom of holding gold, buying gold. I think that was one of the intent. Absolutely. Intent was financial planning, because gold as a metal offers that kind of stability and constant appreciation is what we have always seen. So I think gold has always been one of the logic behind, though we may not officially or formalize it that it is financial planning, but in the heart it is financial security and stability bringing to the family.
Absolutely. Today we all talk about, as financial planners, we talk about emergency fund. So for the people earlier, the emergency fund used to be the gold at the house, or that piece of land back in their village, or or within the city, they would have had invested in a plot of land somewhere, thinking that okay, this will come to our rescue on a rainy day. So yeah, people were always conscious of their finances. They were always seized of the matter that they need to have some fallback plan. It's only now it's started to get more formalized. The language, the terms are more technical, but otherwise the thought, the philosophy has always been there, I think, among us.
Okay. CFP as a qualification, if you see, it is pretty new in India.
Yes.
You are talking about the Indian chapter. I think 2-3 years back is where it has gained a lot of momentum in India. So how do you see CFP for Indian as a very viable qualification if they are looking for a long-term sustainable career?
Sure. So CFP board in India, the Financial Planning Standards Board in India, has always been there. I mean, I think if I'm not wrong, they have been around for last 2 decades. It's just that for some strange reason, they haven't been able to really up the ante. And not many CFP professionals have come out of the board in India especially. Probably it also has to do with the way industry itself is functioning, because it's a very product-centric industry in India, right? People don't give credence to the advice, planning as much as the products themselves. Probably that is one of the reasons why CFP was not able to take off in that sense. And you're right, in the last couple of years, the India chapter has started to gain more momentum. There has been a change in the leadership very recently, and hence you can see more media coverage, more media attention because of the kind of collaborations that the board has started to do in India. So that's like a positive development for not only the board, but of course for the CFP professionals who are already registered and for those who are aspiring to become CFP professionals. With regards to how the future holds for the CFP aspirants, I think it's definitely a sunrise sector. And it's not only about CFP aspirants, right? People in the wealth management, in the financial planning and wealth management industry, it's a sunrise sector. So if you are going to be a part of that, definitely your growth is ensured to a certain extent. It's just that you need to ride the wave when it is playing out.
Right.
So Irfat, I'm curious, do you also advise your students to invest?
Of course I advise. But my advice is a little different. I look for long-term sustainable return on investments.
Sure.
In my opinion, the longest return on investment that you can ever have is first start investing in yourself. The more you invest in yourself, the more sustainable return will come. And we look at stock market, we look at so many other things, but sometimes we forget that the biggest asset that you possess is yourself, your own knowledge. So start investing in yourself, because you'll make enough money, enough disposable income you'll have that you will be able to invest in every other asset that you want to possess tomorrow.
Absolutely. That's great investment advice, Irfat.
Yeah. Thank you. So, Ram, there are so many other professional qualifications which are very similar. At least to the audience, it looks very similar that, we have CFP, then we have CFA, then we have FRM. These are all look very similar to a student wanting a career in finance.
Right.
So how do you advise them from where they should start and navigate further?
Sure. Yeah, so all the 3 programs that you mentioned, or the certifications that you mentioned, which is CFP, CFA, FRM, are actually very contrasting. They are not similar, although they may sound very similar, because between CFP and CFA is just a difference of a letter. But that letter brings in a whole world of difference. So CFA is for somebody who really wants to get into the core investment management space, because it's a very highly technical subject, wherein the expectation is that you are average, not only average, you are above average in terms of your quantitative aptitude, your quantitative ability. And that you would know with your in your schooling years and your college years as to how that's a honest self-assessment that you need to make, because CFA is not going to be a cakewalk for sure. CFP, on the other hand, like I mentioned, it's more of a generalist role. Okay, CFA is more of a specialist role. CFA is an investment specialist. CFP is a generalist who consults the client and ensures that they get good specialist advice.
Is it like CFP is more to do with B2C and CFA is more to do with B2B?
You can say that. Yes, you can say that, because a CFP will mostly deal with a family, with an individual, be it HNI, ultra HNI, but the scope of engagement is primarily with the end client, which is the individual or the family. It's the unit. With the CFA, most likely you are part of an organization which is a fund house, which is a wealth manager, and managing funds directly, right? So yes, to that extent, CFA is more of a B2B engagement, and CFP is more of B2C. Not to mention that a CFA can also, of course, have his own practice, which we today see in the sense that there are proprietary fund managers who are managing customers' funds directly. So it could be that, but largely, yes, it's more of a B2B industry.
Very quickly, in short, help our audience understand what is the fine line of difference between CFA, CFP, and FRM.
Sure. So CFA is an investment specialist. CFP is a financial planner, wherein you are dealing with clients. In CFA, you are dealing with funds, not necessarily interfacing with a client, but your primary role is to manage funds in a manner that is that you are able to generate superior risk-adjusted returns. As a CFP, you ensure that the client is having a robust financial plan, which is helping him or her to navigate through various financial uncertainties that are there. FRM is basically your risk manager. Okay, again, he is going to be part of a team. He is going to be working with a team which is primarily into risk management of, it could be a treasury domain, or it could be in the realm of investment management, or it could be a division of a bank wherein a compliance risk is an area where a FRM professional will be more handy.
Suppose I want to become an expert in finance and I want to pursue all the three.
Right.
What is the right sequence that you would suggest?
Honestly, there is very little evidence to say that all this happens in a sequence, right? Like I said, all three are very contrasting to each other. Hence, I wouldn't hazard saying that there is a path to all of the three. There is no connecting the dots here, really. But yeah, if you have the crazy idea of doing all the three of them, I would then suggest start with CFP, because that's like low-hanging fruits, right? So CFP is going to be like a low-hanging fruit which you can probably get rid of it quickly, and then CFA FRM is going to be more of a marathon, right? So CFP is more of a sprint that way.
Okay, I think that's a very good advice, because once you have done one qualification, it will give you the right motivation, and of course the ROI simultaneously coming your way.
Absolutely, and I would strongly feel that by then you know that CFA, FRM are not a natural progression to a CFP.
Okay,
yes,
right,
that
right.
as well.
So Ram, tell me, investment banking. This is a word that we have been very frequently hearing from students. As a professional yourself, take me through the investment banking as a career.
Sure. Investment banking, the term usually catches our fancy when we look at those salaries which are announced in the paper, right? People from B school, top B schools getting some X crore salary and things like that. So investment banking is a very different ball game, right? Here, the expectation is that you have gone through a management consulting program in a top B school, because only then will the investment bankers hire you. So who are these investment bankers? These could be one of the top 4 accounting firms who have a investment banking division, or it could be the investment banking companies themselves, like a McKinsey or like a Deloitte, some of these companies. So they look for top-notch talent from the top B schools. Either you should be one of the graduates from the top B schools, or you should be a hardcore finance professional or an accounting professional. There is a difference, right? Accounting professional is a CA, a finance professional is a CFA. So either you need to be one of them. So either a MBA from a top-notch B school where you have gone through the rigor of management consulting, or you are an accounting professional, that is a CA, or you are an investment specialist as a CFA. Because either of these skills are going to be a very, very essential ingredient for you to be able to be successful as an investment banker.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ram, for accepting our invite for this podcast. It was very insightful. I'm sure our audience would have taken away all the important points here. And hopefully, I want to have you once again talking at length about so many other things in the world of finance. It's a crazy world
Absolutely.
of money. And I'm sure we are all very interested to discuss more about it.
Thanks,
Thank you
Irfat.
once again.
Thanks, Irfat. Glad to be part of this show. And yes, looking forward to interacting more with you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.